outdoor pageant has survived floods, heat waves, stardom, rainouts for 42 years. This year, we have a new challenge. Like most other theaters in Minnesota and around the country, we're on an extended intermission. Without our normal live performance, the Wilder pageant will create and perform for you in a new way. Like all of us, the Wilder Outdoor Theater is a work in progress.
How did I lay like with you?
So, we welcome your comments and suggestions as we move from our dugout on the banks of Plum Creek and journey to your digital home. The gate at the Wilder pageant site is closed, but our hearts are open to continue to share the theme of resilience and hope through family, friends, and faith.
And mine, Mr. Hanson. He'll take good care of you. I'll miss you.
It's Friday, July 10th at 7 p.m., live from the stage of the Peterson Tech campus of the Westbrook Walnut Grove High School. I'm Daryl Herdlichka, and I've been a member of the Wilder pageant here in Walnut Grove for 15 years now. I've played the mayor, the minister, and now I'm the Norwegian. You're probably watching from your dugout or your covered wagon. We're excited to bring you Laura's Prairie Summer, a 6-part miniseries over the next 3 weekends. We have a mixture of live and recorded scenes, special guests, and more. This is episode 1. Through the magic of very fast horses and digital bites of hay, we've traveled to both ends of the continental U.S. to bring you Dale Cockrell from the east somewhere in beautiful Vermont, and Dean Butler from the far west in sunny California. Pat and Patty are tired, so we'll give them a rest and sit down to visit for a spell with these two well-known guests. Welcome, Dale and Dean.
Hi, Daryl. Glad to be here.
Dale, tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Well, I'm a musicologist. It's a funny word. It means I study American music, really. And when my son was about 8 years old, I was reading to him in bed. And we picked up the Little House series and started reading that front to cover. One of the reasons we picked it up was if you start in on a series, it takes care of what you're going to read next. And at that point, that was a kind of welcome attribute. So I'm reading through this book and I'm going, oh, Pa Ingalls is a fiddler. Isn't that interesting? And look at all this music. And every time I'd run across a tune, I'd try to sing it if I knew it. If I didn't, I'd make something up. And we continued to read through it. And after a while, I was just astonished at the amount of music making that was going on in this. And I knew enough about it to know that it was somewhat historically accurate. And I thought, this is a real ethnography of the way music functioned in an American family in the 19th century American frontier life.
Right.
So after we read through them, it was Christmas time, I sat down with the books and I kind of went through and tried to mark the tunes. Sometimes it's difficult to find them. And came up with a count of about 120 songs that had been integrated into these books by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I was astonished at that. And I thought, gee, it's really too bad that somebody hasn't sat down and made recordings of these, because as Sam and I went through them, we wanted to pop a cassette into the recorder at that point and listen to these tunes. So that idea kind of floated around for a couple of years. And at that point, I was teaching at Vanderbilt University, which is in Nashville. And if you know anything about Nashville, you might know that they make music there. And at one point, I thought, you live in Nashville, why don't we make some recordings of these things? So I got to talking to people and talked to lawyers and went on Music Row, and to make a very long story short, finally decided to establish Pa's Fiddle Recordings, LLC, and got in touch with some of the leading musicians in Nashville at the time. A good friend of mine was the producer. And we, over the course of about 6 years, made 4 recordings of those songs, sometimes selections. One of them actually is all of the music in Little House on the Prairie, the book. And they sold quite well, and there were people were interested in it. It came time to retire, and I turned to my good friend Dean Butler and I said, Dean, why don't you take this project and go? And Dean said, Dean?
I said, well, actually, I think after you told me, I think you really laid it out in a way that you knew I would find irresistible. And, we had just done Pa's Fiddle, the Music of America together. And that's a great story, how that happened. But yeah, so I've taken it over now. But Dale did the heavy lifting on this. Dale's scholarship, his commitment to this was I know from producing, this is never easy. It doesn't just fall together. There's a lot of effort and time that goes into it. And these are really beautiful recordings. The Pa's Fiddle recordings are absolutely gorgeous. And so I just love the association with the music. It's meant a lot to me.
Well, I'm quite proud of it, actually. I think the recordings also are just wonderful. Some incredible musicians.
Okay.
And some incredible songs. It turns out that there are 127 songs embedded in those books.
Oh, wow.
And I was actually able to recapture 126 of them. So I don't know what the Red Heifer is. So if anybody's listening out there and they know a tune called the Red Heifer, Dean wants to know.
Yeah. Yes, we want to do the third album.
We need to do the next album.
Yeah, exactly. So, or the fourth album in this case.
All right. Well, Dean, you're, of course, well known for the iconic TV show. Please tell us about your work and your current projects.
Well, I mean, Little House has been a huge part of my life since I came into it back in 1979. And I never could have imagined that, that 41 years later, in September, it will be 41 years that I've been associated with the program on the air. And it shows no signs of slowing down. And I can say that really virtually every professional opportunity that I have had since then has somehow had a connection to Little House, that someone either loved the show, knew of the show, respected that I had been involved with it.
Right.
Whatever it was, it's just been an amazing thing to be a part of. I transitioned out of acting in the late 1990s, and so I got involved in more reality-based programming and sports specifically. And for the last 9 years, I've been making a show for Golf Channel, NBC's Golf Channel, called Prairie, which is starring a gentleman named David Faraday, who is a very quirky and interesting Northern Irishman who has a very unique take on the world and on the game of golf. And it's just been a joy working with him.
All right. Are either of you planning on making more Laurel Ingalls Wilder productions or music or stories? You said if you can find the Red Heifer, you might do the fourth album?
Sure. Well,
It was, for me at least, it was more of a project than just the recordings. Eventually, I should have brought it here. Eventually, I brought out a critical edition of all 127 songs sponsored by the National Endowment for the Humanities. And from that, I've extracted 7 songbooks corresponding to the books that have music in them, and they're available. They're inexpensive, so this is something for parents, grandparents, and their children to buy and to go through they're book by book.
Okay.
So you can get These Happy Golden Years, and it's got all of the tunes from These Happy Golden Years. So it's also turned for me, at least, into something like a scholarly project as well as just a music-making project.
Okay.
And then Dean and I worked together on Pa's Fiddle America's Music, too, for PBS.
Oh, that's right.
Dean, maybe you want to tell us something about that?
well, it was just, it was a magical experience. And what's so interesting is you come into an idea like this, and let's go back to the beginning of this. I met Dale at Laurapalooza back in 2010, which took place in Mankato, Minnesota. And I was presenting a documentary that I had just finished making and was looking to get some feedback from Laura aficionados. And I heard Dale's talk about the Paws fiddle music, and I was just absolutely blown away. One, that this music existed, and really the way Dale spoke about it, which was poetic. And I cornered him at lunch and said, Dale, we have to put this music on television. And really, that's how it began. And we just set out on this journey, and it took 2 years to get the show shot.
Okay.
And it was a fascinating process of selling an idea into PBS and then having to evolve the idea based on conditions, the availability of talent, budgets, all these practical things that come into play when you're trying to make a program. And we eventually ended up with what we ended up with. And I think, given all conditions, I think we did a really good job. I think that
it's a great show. It's a great program.
Well, the performances are lovely, and the artists were very willing to step in, and I think we got one of the last. Randy Travis was so wonderful in this, and and I think Randy shortly thereafter had issues, health issues, and I don't know that Randy's able to sing anymore, but we have 2 beautiful performances of his.
All right.
It was really a special thing, and a lot of people came together and gave something of themselves to make this happen. And I think that's the sign of a project that has some synergy. That synergy of excitement and interest was really one of the driving forces that allowed it to happen, because it certainly wasn't the money that we were paying people. There was really no money. It was done on a shoestring, but it was done with a lot of love.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like the horses are hitched up and ready to travel. So thank you both very much for being here tonight and being a part of this. Dale, Dean.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thanks, Daryl, for having us.
Thank you for time. And now we'll just giddy up out of here, and we'll take a short stop to fix a squeaky wheel and tell you about the online More Than Laura Nellie Challenge and the PA Lookalike Contest. The winners will get to share with us live on the last weekend, July 24th and 25th. No real prizes, but there's certainly bragging rights and personal satisfaction. There are 4 categories for the online More Than Laura Nellie Challenge. That's ages 6 to 8, ages 9 to 12, ages 13 and up, and pets. Yes, I said pets. For more details and a registration form, email us at laurasprairiechallenge@gmail.com. Across the country, indoor and outdoor theaters are on extended intermissions. Our Laura's Prairie Summer Series is free to watch online for a month, but as each of you knows, the expenses don't just stop because the income has dropped to 0. Many of you are also working to survive. Please donate to us for another worthy cause if you are able. Thank you very much. The Ingalls and others knew of the harsh and unpredictable weather on the plains. Still, they worked to enjoy simple pleasures. Our live scene this evening is called Dancing in the Blizzard. Pa enters from the barn with a bucket of milk. The girls are busy making quilts and button strings. Pa plays fiddle and Ma teaches them to dance. Music was an important way to comfort and lift their spirits, just where it is now. Can you hear the wind?
Very good, Laura. Now keep your stitches even. And take your time, dear. You don't want to have to rip out the seam and start over.
I know, but I want to be sure to get this quilt done by spring.
Mom, I'll be gone, Mom.
Oh, Mary, that is so thoughtful of you. But your pa knows to take his time to make sure the animals are fed and watered. Look, he's been through blizzards worse than this, and he survived.
Does he have candy if he needs to stay in the barn like at Christmas?
Carrie, he has a rope tied between the house and the barn, so he'll be fine. And he has milk from the cow if he gets thirsty.
Oh, mighty good wind out there. Can't see a thing. Here, Carrie, would you take the milk bucket, please? And Laura, please help stack the wood.
I made some tea. You must be cold.
Fingers and nose are numb, but this buffalo skin coat keeps the man right warm. Yeah, some hot tea would be nice.
It smells funny. Does it taste good?
Well, take a sip, but it's hot.
Charles, next thing you know, you'll have her drinking coffee.
Ooh, I think I like milk better.
Pa, when your fingers warm up, would you play your fiddle?
Oh, yes. That would drown out the sound of the wind.
Now let Pa rest. It takes a lot to be out in weather like this.
Well, I never thought of playing fiddle to be work so much as good fun.
Play old Dan Tucker!
And Captain Jinx.
Peace Porch Hot, or maybe buy a broom?
Ha, lots of lively tunes to brighten the winter nights. You, Caroline?
Oh, you know it always makes me happy when you play your fiddle. Rock of Ages would suit me fine.
Yeah, it makes me happy too. Perhaps we'll start with old Dan Tucker. But it's such a fine tune, it really needs some dancing.
I don't know how to dance. Yes, please. I like to jump and hop.
Yes, you're a hopper, all right. Caroline, ring the bell for school to start. You show the girls how we danced when we were courting?
There's more than just jumping and twirling around?
Oh, yes. Oh, by yourself, you can do as you please. But when you dance with other people, well, you have to do a little bit more thinking to make sure you don't step on people or knock them over.
I think I'll just sit and watch.
Okay, well, that's fine, Mary. Laura and Carrie, you can be partners. Now, there are many different kinds of dances. There are jigs and reels, waltzes and polkas.
Not a lot of room in this little shack. Maybe not the polka.
You're right. We'll start with the reel. Now, you must remember to take very small steps, but when we're outside, they can be bigger. So first, face your partner, and then curtsy politely.
What's a curtsy?
Well, a curtsy is when ladies hold the edge of their skirt and they do a little dip like this. So, follow me. 4 tiny steps forward, curtsy, 4 tiny steps back. Very good.
I like this school.
Yes. Well, next, hold out your right hand and then walk toward your partner and hook elbows and then circle around and go back to where you started. Very good. And now again with your left hand this time.
Here's a teacher, Caroline.
Well, there are many more steps to a reel, but we'll do just one more. It's called the Dosey Doe.
That sounds hard.
Oh, no, dear. You can do this. Just follow me. Cross your arms in front of your chest and then take 4 tiny steps forward and circle around right shoulder to right shoulder and 4 tiny steps back. There you go.
It sounded hard, but it looked really simple.
Well, my fingers are all warmed up. Let's see if you can keep up.
Oh, go slow, Charles. Maybe 2 times through?
Only 2 times? We could dance all night.
Yes, my God, that's what we used to do when we get together for a big celebration, like the 4th of July or a barn raising. Dance late into the night and sing and fill.
Why so long?
Because we were so happy to see our friends. We just need to take the time to enjoy them. You never know when you'll see them again.
Oh, yes, dear. But we have to get some rest tonight so that we can get up tomorrow and take care of the animals, clean the house, and work on your quilt.
Can we teach our cow to dance too?
That would be silly.
I think she already knows how.
Well, then we better practice so you can be good teachers. Okay, let's begin. And tap your toes.
A cow can dance like you ladies. All our milk is churned to butter.
Well, it's time for bed, girls.
One more song, please.
Okay, Half Pint, while you're getting ready for bed, just one more song. One more gentle, sweet song.
Good night, girls.
Music always seems to make life better. The horses have worked hard traveling the country, but they have a bit more to do to get to Walnut Grove before dark. What's this? Ah, a telegram. That's the old internet. It reads, "Hope the day finds you well. Stop. Another live celebration of Laura in De Smet tonight. Stop. Find us on the web. Don't stop. Go when the horses are able and your shoes are mended. Congratulations to De Smet and say hello to Laura." Tonight's Main Street Food for Thought brought to you by the Olson Mercantile. These are community people. They're your neighbors. Do business there wherever you can to keep the community alive.
We're Who Buy Foods, a small-town grocery store with a big heart. We carry a large selection of... We're Who Buy Foods, a small-town grocery store with a big heart. We carry a large selection of Asian and American foods. Pressure-fried chicken can be made to order. Please call ahead. No order too big
Like
or
many
too small.
families, the
Egg
Ingalls
rolls
traveled
made
here and
fresh
there in search of
on
a place to
Tuesdays.
settle down.
Stores open 7
Bob moved
days a week.
restless as he looked for the right fit. For a time, Walnut Grove was that place. Our recorded scene, A New Home, shares their arrival on Plum Creek in the May of 1874.
Long before houses and roads were built, Walnut Grove and the surrounding area was prairie, an endless expanse of grassland dotted by few trees. It was this huge prairie with this feeling of freedom and openness which drew many families, including my ma and pa, to the west in our little horse-drawn wagon. We had been on that wagon for so many days that I began to think of it as just another home. All day long, for many, many days, from the little house in Indian Territory, across Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, back to Wisconsin, and a long way into Minnesota. Only when the dim wagon track went no further on the prairie did Pa stop the horses.
Are we there yet?
This is it, Half Pint?
How far are we away from Kansas?
Long ways, Laura.
Where's the house?
Laura, for pity's sake, stop asking so many questions.
Oh, you must be Mr. Hanson.
Yeah.
I understand you have some land for sale.
Ask him where the house is.
Laura!
Snakker du norsk? Hesten de dine er 100 kroner for landet mitt.
Mr. Hanson, I don't speak much Norwegian. You're going to have to go a bit slower.
Yeah, slower. Yeah.
What's he saying?
No, Mary, it's Norwegian.
Pa, can I get down?
Leave him be, Laura. He has to discuss the terms for the land.
But, Mom...
Laura, get down, but stay close by.
Me going west, ja? Vi trade de oxen und the land for de hästarna, de hästvagen är $100, ja?
Ja.
Vad ska vi göra?
Oh, ja.
Ja, is deal?
Laura, I said to stay by the wagon.
So do you think it's gonna be big?
What?
Our new house?
I don't know.
Maybe it's a castle.
I don't think they have castles in Minnesota. At least not big ones.
Look, Mary, a creek.
Girls, stop running around. Oh, I'm sorry. You must be Mrs. Hanson. I'm Caroline Ingalls.
Yeah.
And my daughters, Mary, Laura, and Carrie.
Yeah.
You are headed west, I understand. Dakota, is it?
Dakota, yeah.
Ask her where the house is.
We've come from Wisconsin, and then before that, Kansas. Have you heard of Kansas?
Kansas, yeah.
Well, and then before that, it was the big woods in Wisconsin again, and lots of places.
Yeah.
The house.
Laura.
Okay, so we were wondering whether you live in a big house or a little...
Who's? Yeah.
Where is it?
We doing who's, yeah. Who's, yeah.
Oh! House! Yes. My word.
Well, it's all settled, girls. Let's unload the wagon.
You're giving them Pet and Patty?
I'm afraid so, Laura. Traded for a pair of oxen. I pull a plow much better than horses would. We even get a nice plot of land with a house right here in the banks of Plum Creek.
But, Pa...
Laura, sometimes we have to let go of the things we love.
Pet, Patty, you be good. And mind Mr. Hanson. He'll take good care of you. I'll miss you.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
I think
Charles. The house.
Well, now, a dugout. We never slept in one of these before, but I hear they're just fine.
A dirt floor?
Oh, Caroline, we've been sleeping on the ground all the way here.
But that's different. I don't want to sleep on the ground in a house. A house.
Tomorrow I'll find some straight willow poles and make a couple of bedsteads. We'll get by, Caroline. We always have. Mr. Hanson will see to the horses.
Oh, come on, girls.
We're gonna live in a hole? Like rabbits?
No, it is not a hole. It is a dugout. And I'm sure it is perfectly fine.
We should have never left the Indian country or the big woods. This isn't near as nice as those places.
At least we're safe here. In Kansas, there were wolves.
I'd rather sleep outside with the wolves than be safe in a house dug underground.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, careful, half pint. Don't want to lose you the first day in Walnut Grove.
What's Walnut Grove?
It's the town flutter budget, only 2 miles down that trail. Shh, listen. You can hear the water talking. The wind along these rushes, a wild and lonely sound.
It's peaceful here, Pa.
It seems that way, Laura, but our creek has holes, deep holes all over. Come springtime, the water will be up over our heads. Never can tell what's going to happen, like a lot of things.
I've never lived in a hole before.
Well, then we'll just have to get used to it together.
People could walk right over our heads and not even know we're there. They'd fall right on top of us and kill us in our sleep.
Ah, that's just nonsense, and you know it, Laura. Come on, we better help your mom.
What's the matter, Ma?
You better go inside, Charles. Our first house guest is a cow. It stepped on the roof and part of it landed on my head.
We don't mean to nag. Oh, not you, Petter Patty. You've done a good job tonight. Remember that Laura's Prairie Summer Series is free to watch online for a month, but as each of you knows, the expenses don't stop just because the income has dropped to zero. Donate to us or another worthy cause if you're able to. Thank you. Another of Laura's Prairie challenges is the PA Lookalike Contest. Images must be appropriate for children. Email photos to laurasprairiechallenge@gmail.com. Are you ready for your close-up? Thank you for watching tonight. The Laura Ingalls Museums are opening with cautions and restrictions. Please check their website so you know what to expect. Tomorrow night we'll be showing episode 2, Playing Games. Even without Snapchat and cell phones, children experience many of the same social and friend issues that we have today. You'll also meet Sarah Udoff, a public historian, best known for her Trundlebed Tales website, and check in with Ingalls Dugout site owner Stan Gordon for insight into the land and the places Laura talked about in On the Banks of Plum Creek. All right, it's time to bed the horses down for the night. Get some rest and we'll see you back here tomorrow night at 7 Central Time when the Wilder Pageant once again brings you episode 2 of our 6-part miniseries, Laura's Prairie Summer.
As the sun is falling slowly, I will whisper a song for you, a song about the feeling of the day, not to forget. If a dream could tell a story, if the story could come true, then we would write a legend, play the parts, see yesterday, close your eyes, drift away, let the sun warm your heart, and the wind blows fragments of a dream in silence. Walk together, memories lead the way. You can feel our dreams are magic, like a vision. They fade away. Close your eyes, drift away, let the sun warm your heart, and the wind fragments of a dream.